Court is now in session. Bottom of page 1, Heather McMullen versus Manuel Medina III.
For the record, this matter is before the court in the plaintiff's mother's objection to a referee recommend order that her parenting time be suspended. This hearing this morning is being conducted via Zoom. The present is the plaintiff mother, Heather McMullen. You're Heather McMullen, is that correct, ma'am?
Correct. When I mentioned my and Selena, we mentioned PRC, and we mentioned her reference
Hold on, just a minute.
At
Miss
Bowser.
McMullen, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait just a minute. I'm calling the case. I'm introducing the parties for the
You said
record.
Heather, speak. I apologize.
Is your name Heather McMullen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And also present is Manuel Medina III.
Yes, sir.
The parties have conferred this morning with Mr. Pratt to the front of the court. Mr. Pratt has provided the following recommendation: that the referee recommend order be adopted but modified, adopted. Maybe mother's parenting time be reserved, allegedly due to mother's inability to provide proper oversight and environment for the minor child. The current parenting time order is that Miss McMullen has parenting time the first 3 weekends of each month and extended summer parenting time. Ms. LaPrade, do you have any recommendations? If the court adopts this recommendation, I'll hear from Ms. McMullen. Do you have any recommendations as to what Ms. McMullen should do in order to, she needs to obviously maintain some relationship with her 16-year-old daughter, whether it be supervised, it was supervised for a long period of time. And then again, I think it was unsupervised in July of 2022, but prior to that, it was supervised by the maternal grandmother. Prior to that, I think with family counseling shelter services.
It was, Your Honor. At this point, my recommendation would be that mom have communication with the child via telephone, Facebook, or Snap, some video conferencing at this point. And I believe, Your Honor, you'll understand a little bit more. Miss McMullen and I were trying to discuss this matter in a breakout room, and I was trying to discuss Selena's parenting time, and I was not able to do that.
Okay, well, it's perhaps we can put in this.
Your Honor, may I speak when I have a moment?
Just one moment, Ms. McMullen, please. I'll give you a chance to talk. If in fact the court adopts this recommendation, I won't make a decision until I hear from you. The court believes that you should have some contact with Selena, so the court will permit perhaps video chats, but perhaps maybe, what do you think, Mr. Pratt, about supervised at family counseling shelter services? So there's some contact. Safety
Your Honor,
plan.
As you stated, we did do that in the past. I believe that Selena at this point is 15 or 16 years old. She has been interviewed by the friend of the court, and these are brand new allegations that have come forward at this point. And after that hearing, I believe that the referee felt pretty strongly that at this point that we needed to not have the in-person parenting time.
When was Selena interviewed by the front of the court?
Let me double check the date, Your Honor. It was for a referee hearing.
So the referee near past was the one that interviewed the child?
No, Your Honor. May 24th of 2022, so not even a full year ago, I actually interviewed the minor child, Selena.
Okay. Is there any merit in your opinion to get an updated interview of Selena in terms of what's going on in the past 12 months?
We could sit down with Selena once again. I believe that Dad mentioned in his motion that there was not proper supervision for the teenage child at mom's home. And I believe, again, after referee Nearpass spoke with Miss McMullen, he felt strongly that this was probably in Selena's best interest at this point.
Okay. Okay, Ms. McMullen, do you understand the recommendation? The recommendation is that your parenting time be suspended. So, and I'd like to see you give me some direction if the court adopts this recommendation,
speak, sir,
so you can establish a relationship with your daughter.
Could I speak, please?
You may, but please speak to the allegations. The
I
allegations,
have
Ms.
in
McMullen.
order,
Hold on.
and what I
Speak to
say,
Miss
Steve, is
McMullen.
that my
Miss McMullen. Please, Ms. McMullen, speak to the allegations.
That
The allegations.
in reference, both of my children did have interview. I have the court papers that they had interview, and that they both did refer, and they did refer to be with their parent. I did go to the courthouse. I have been going to the courthouse and appropriating every day for the last year and a half since Pred holiday. That's why I showed that before holiday of Christmas, before holiday of Halloween, and even near so Thanksgiving, as well as the holiday that before there, when we mentioned spring break and 4th of July and her birthday August last year. Now, because other is doing certain adjustments in housing, we can't misuse my Secretary of State. My children are to be with their mother. They both requested that. Now, in other Vern, where you mentioned thy father, now would it be okay that in certain way they have certain ables and they're doing it there that way, and that we would be mistaking advantage of my rehabilitation, and that I don't do that there that way in domestic or consumption anymore? I have a good home for my children. I have certain educational link to provide for my children and to do educational things with them together. I have always provided them. I have verified my income that I perceive and provide for them in certain way, as well as the dividedly understanding that it does connect. When I mentioned some of the reverend that has been discussed dividedly separate with that certain things, as mentioned of some of grandmother and some of our equips and some of those other things that have to be, adjusted dividedly separate, not in course of certain tendencies where I've mentioned my rental unit needing to be adjusted because of the equipped. It was moved into a 2-bedroom and then it got interruptive. Whereas it seems unto itself, I mentioned Kroger and it going through my daughter Angeline or Ariana's or my grandmother, and how it goes to the pantry and things like that of certain elements in my housing equipped in my housing voucher, that I had the 2 bedrooms. It was okay for a moment. We were having a holiday. We were having that 1, 2, 3 weekend a week. And then it got interrupted because others were kind of coming in whenever they felt like it, and that wasn't okay. And that's not, then I had asked, we had hearing the 27th of March, we had hearing before that. And I remember the years before that, I think it was the year of that was mentioned, Pred, where we mentioned suspended and having supervised. We did a stare, whereas we were coming in every month to see and adjust parenting time. And it was supervised for a moment. And everything did come near at here, and it did go okay. And it was relieved. Now, it wouldn't be okay for another to assumption or keep using tenant in a way, whereas I'm not able to work with my educational, with my 2 children subdividedly different, and things be okay, and having family planning and family parenting time and a good rental or good, rental unit that is appropriate for their able. I had got them things that they needed for, new clothes and their shoes for school and work. I had, my time, even when I mentioned if it's shared in a certain way, when I mentioned some of grandfather and that, it's still, when I had the moment to myself and I wasn't with them, or I was with them, I did the right thing and I did what was necessary for them.
All right, Ms. McMullen, you seem to be rambling this morning. You've not addressed the allegations. The allegations are that you were not provided proper oversight. You're allowing Selena to consume alcohol, and there was apparently some shooting at your home. Those are the allegations. So at this point in time, the court will adopt the front of the court recommendation, but I'm going to modify it. The court will permit supervised parenting time and family counseling shelter services. The circuit court fund will pay for that, assuming Ms. McMullen is unable to afford that. And whether or not Selena participates remains to be seen, but we'll at least give the opportunity. So you should both make contacts with that agency, Mr. Medina.
Okay, that is
and Mr.
committing
McMullen, to make an
perjury,
intake
Your
appointment
Honor.
with
That's
Family
saying that I'm
Services.
not a
They
good
will then
parent
coordinate
and that you're
attorney time
giving the
between mom and
father
child.
a better
And that
right
will
because
conclude
he
this
has a
hearing.
different reverence. That's
Right,
not
Ms.
okay.
McMullen. Right, that will conclude this matter. Be mailed a copy of this order. Contact that agency, Family County Child Services, schedule an intake, and they will supervise for any time between you and Selena. And Ms. Pratt, with this order of the court, should we set it in a review date so we don't have this go on forever?
Your Honor,
We do
I
need
haven't
to-
even been able to speak. I've listened to
Okay.
Heather speak for I don't know how many minutes. You haven't even
understand.
let me speak on my behalf.
And okay, I'll do it. Okay, I apologize, Ms. Medina. I'll do that, but obviously, I don't want to just cut ties completely between mother and child. It's going to be in a very supervised fashion with a
Your
therapist.
Honor, may I speak now?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Your Honor,
So-
the things that have been happening over there since you've allowed them to go over there every weekend has been like a dad's worst nightmare. To read the texts that have been going on and the things that have been going on, I would have never even known about. I would have never known about a shooting that has occurred where my daughter almost died. I would have
Okay,
never
Medina?
known about the things that my
Right.
daughter has been doing with other men over there in Monroe. I would have never known about the alcohol. I would have never known about the drugs being bought in Monroe because it's legal over there. I would have never known about all this. And all you're going to do is give it more supervised visitation. It is unfair, Your Honor. I have been to Monroe more than once. We have tried more than one thing, and it hasn't worked. I please beg of you that we do not go to Monroe anymore. If there is any contact that should be given to Heather, that it should be on video. You can't even stand talking to this woman for 5 minutes. I have documentation on my daughter who doesn't even want to talk to her mom for more than 10 seconds. Now that is not fair, Your Honor, that we have to go to Monroe as we have to provide this for her. She can't even go to Alexis and pick up her daughter when she's supposed to. She's not even able to call the time she's supposed to call on a regular basis. This is continuing to happen. And it extremely appalls me that I would have to bend over backwards to help her out in a quest to have time with her. And she couldn't even come to Alexis to see her own daughter. She can't even call on the phone at 8 o'clock every Tuesday and Thursday. Now you want to take me to go to Monroe? That's unfair, Your Honor. We've already tried that way.
Mr. Medina, the court's not going to allow Selena to go back in that environment. We're going to protect her, but you want to just cut. Your only objection is you don't want to drive from Perrysburg to Monroe. That's your only objection. Is that correct?
My objection is we go to court on Zoom. Why can't she Zoom from Monroe to my daughter's computer? Why does there have to be any transportation given to her to go over there to Monroe, where she has done nothing but drink and do drugs, Your Honor?
She's not going to go back to that
Not even been
environment.
with her
Right.
mom. She does not even stay the night at her mom's
Mr.
house.
Mr. Medina, stop yelling at the court. Stop yelling at the court. Just settle down, please. I understand your frustration. The court's not going to allow Selena to go back in that environment. Ms. LaPrade, does Family County Child Services, do they permit Zoom visits? I
At
want
this
someone to.
They're doing
No?
in person, Your Honor. At this point,
Okay.
they are doing in person. So I mean, if Mr. Medina thinks that Selena will get on Zoom, maybe that's a place to start, and we could set a review hearing and see if she and her mother can Zoom for an hour. But we wouldn't have a supervisor and we would not have reports at that point, Your Honor.
Yeah, see, that's my concern, Mr. Medina, is that I want there to be a professional involved, so that make sure that the discussion is appropriate between mother and daughter. You just want to cut off all ties. Mother has that child's right to have a relationship with their mother. It may not be good right now, but I don't want to cut all the strings, Mr. Medina. But we're not going to allow Selena to go back in that environment. That's why I was suggesting. Again, maybe we can try to see how things go between mother and daughter for a month and come back in a month, and then whether or not we allow maybe Family County Child Services. The only objection is that you don't want to drive to Monroe. understand that, but the reality is this court is only concerned about Selena. And
This
and
court
Selena-
has drugged me through the court more than 25 times just to have the same result of not doing anything but pushing it off to somebody else.
Your Honor, I believe Mr. Medina froze.
Yes, I see it. He's froze up. For the record, Ms. McMullen is muted. She's been talking the entire time while Mr. Medina's been talking, so she's not heard him say, Mr. Medina, you froze up for a moment. So your suggestion, if you want the court, just cut all ties, discontinue any ties between Selena and her mother?
There's not cutting ties. There is technology. Zoom can be used at any given time. I'm not telling her that she can't call. I'm not telling her that she can't video. Let the courts be done with this issue. We have gone to court more than 25 times in the last couple years. The only thing that's changed is my pocketbook consisting of taking money that I am saving for my daughter's college to put it into a court, to put it into something to show that her mother can still talk to her. Her mother can still talk to her on Zoom. Her mother can still talk to her on a phone.
Okay, and who's
She
going to
doesn't even
supervise?
talk to her
Mr.
when
Medina,
she's
hold
allowed
on.
to
Mr.
talk to her.
Medina, Mr. Medina, who's going to supervise those virtual contacts?
No, who supervised the last weekends that she was over there? Who supervised anything that she has
Mr. Medina,
done?
slow down, slow down.
Nothing
I'm
has
talking about
been
you want mother
supervised.
to have unsupervised contact with your daughter. Who's going to supervise it? Mother may be saying inappropriate things to Selena. We don't want that to happen. That's the court's concern.
It's what's done is done, Your Honor. Let the past be the past. Let
Right.
Selena move on with her future and concentrate on going to college. She carries a
Right, dear.
4.4 GPA. She is on her way to college, but to consistently go to Monroe to drink and do drugs while her mom's on some kind of pills is not what a parent wants.
Mr. Medina, can you stop for one moment? Your Honor, may I make a recommendation?
Please.
Your Honor, if we set a very specific time when Selena, who is, I believe she's still 15, and Mr. Medina, you can correct me if she's 16 now. If we set a specific time for her and her mother to be on Zoom together, Mr. Medina, is your mother available to be nearby in case there's an inappropriate conversation between child and mother so that she would be able to end the Zoom call? So that we have contact with mom on a scheduled basis so that we can get that in order and we can move forward.
Yes.
What time is your mother available to supervise a Zoom contact between
She
Selena
is
and her mother?
retired. She is available at any given time.
Give me a day and time, Mr. Medina. Saturday, Sunday, give me something.
Saturday and Sunday
Okay, what time?
at noon.
Okay, so Your Honor, if mom can have Zoom contact with Selena Saturday and Sunday at noon with the paternal grandmother on Selena's side supervising, would that be appropriate for the court?
Yes, and then who will initiate that to Zoom? Will mother? We put the burden on the mother. Ms. McMullen shall initiate the Zoom contact. Mr. Medina, that's all the court wants is to be some supervision. So I'm much more comfortable knowing that your mother will be there, because if there's inappropriate comments being made by Ms. McMullen to Selena, I want that conversation to stop. That's all I wanted to do, was make sure there's some supervision over those contacts. That's all I was trying to get to.
That'll be fine, Your Honor.
So we're going to put in this order. Yes, mother's parenting time is suspended. At this point in time, the court will, however, permit virtual contact on Saturdays and Sundays at noon. And obviously, Ms. McMullen will initiate that. But obviously, I think you want your mother there, the paternal grandmother there, just to make sure she can sit off to the side, make sure there's no inappropriate conversation. If, in fact, the discussion is inappropriate, your mother can halt that. That's all I wanted to do, is make sure there was some supervised contact between mother and daughter. That's all. And I understand you don't want to drive to Monroe, and maybe Selena doesn't want to see your mother at this point, but at least I want there to be some contact. That's all, Mr. Medina. Do you understand now where the court's coming from?
Yes. All I was stating, Your Honor, is that I've been to court every month this year on these kind of issues. And in the meantime, she's going over there every weekend and doing what she wants. That's not fine with me.
Well,
do
I will
appreciate
tell
this,
you,
and I
you
thank
keep
you.
saying the court's doing these things. Mr. Medina, you had an attorney back in July of 2022 by the name of Pentecoff, and that you and Ms. McMullen agreed to this extended parenting time. So
I
think
agreed
just
so I
was
wouldn't
slow.
continue to go to court. I agreed so she
All right,
would be allowed to
I'm just
see her
telling you,
mother more, but it was
The
not the
court
best
entered the
thing at
order
that time.
upon agreement of the parties. The court entered the order upon agreement of the parties. That's all I'm saying. That will conclude this hearing. You can zoom off. You'll be mailed a copy of this.
Right.
Good luck to both of you. Hopefully we'll not be back in court, and hopefully Selena continue to do well, and the mother will come around and have some relationship with her daughter. But at this point, the court does not believe it's in Selena's best interest to have parenting time with mother. So the court will suspend that. So I'd say make sure your mother's available on Saturdays and Sundays at noon, Mr. Medina, and Ms. McMullen will initiate the Zoom. If she does not, wait 15 minutes. If she doesn't, then there's no reason for her to stay around. To wait
Thank
off
you,
the
Your
loop for
Honor.
that Zoom. Okay. All right. Good luck. You're doing the right thing as a father, Mr. Medina. I fully understand your position. I fully do. All right. So
Appreciate it.
that'll conclude this matter. You can both zoom out. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you, Mr. LaPrade.
Thank you, Your Honor. And that corrected recommendation is in your queue.
Wonderful. That's all I was trying to get to is some sort of supervision.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.